moving on to the next one. If you're going to commit a robbery, rob a police station, what are they gonna do? Call the cops?
That one
Pro
was
tip at
actually
life.
something I found funny.
Welcome back to the Geeks Strike Back. I'm your host Noah, and with me today is my best friend and co-host Curtis. How are you doing today, Curtis?
Good, how are you?
Doing pretty good. Today we will be talking about a couple of fun things for today, some bad life advice, and how to deal with stress. Before we get into today's topic, however, let's go over a few things. If you're new to the show, please be sure to subscribe and follow the podcast so you're up to date on all new episodes. Leave a review if you're on Apple Podcast. This is a weekly show coming out every Friday. And now, without further ado, let's go into the show. So, this first half is essentially just things that are like jokes. And then we'll get into more serious stuff and more controversial stuff. This first one, I don't remember if we have this recorded as an episode or not. I think it was one of our test episodes in which I forget what the question was where we were going off of, but you were saying that if you're homeless, get a loan.
Yeah.
And I could not stop laughing at that.
Yeah. I don't think we recorded that episode, but
Not
yeah.
a good plan. So, do you want to explain your philosophy?
I mean,
I
I
think this is
wouldn't.
not a good idea.
I mean, I don't. It was in that philosophy. It was assuming that you knew a foolproof plan to get money and things like that. Even if you, what I would actually do is I'd probably just ask somebody for a shower and borrow a suit. That's all I would do.
Ask
Like,
someone for a shower.
like just ask for a shower and borrow a suit from like one of your friends or something, and get like enough money for a haircut, and you're fine.
How do you just have rich friends though, which you could just buy or you could just borrow a suit from? And by the way, how would you be like their exact same size?
It doesn't matter. All you need to do is pass an interview. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Just get an interview and get.
But then, how would you keep the job then, though?
I mean, you
You
would.
need at
I would
least 2
hope you'd be able to
weeks.
stay with them. Yeah, I would hope you at least would be able to stay with them for those 2 weeks until you
Well,
can
if
get
you
enough
don't
money
have
for
a
a haircut.
house and you don't have clean clothes,
Yeah, it's
and you don't,
true. I would just take your uniform to like that's assuming they give you a uniform, right? Like I would just
yeah,
take your uniform to the laundromat every day.
that would be You would what money? With what money?
Honestly, I don't like talking about this. Can we please move on?
Why not? Why do
I'm
you not like talking about
I'm
this?
I don't I've never been poor. I don't understand why I'm talking about this.
I mean, I guess that's true, and I guess the idea is that there's just a whole lot of things
Yeah, there's a lot
that
of factors that lean
yeah,
into it that we don't know about.
someone's addicted to drugs, and that's a whole nother factor of how they're gonna get money for that and stuff like that. And like you said, if they're homeless, clean clothes. Either way, it's not easy, and I would not suggest getting a loan with
Yeah,
your probably non-existent credit score. So.
yeah.
All right, now this one was just sort of a joke, and you might cringe at some of these jokes, but just fake laugh if you don't find it funny, just for the
Mhm.
podcast, all right? So this first one, or no, I'm sorry, the second one is if you have no friend, glue a cup of coffee on the top of your car, so then you'll probably get waves every time you pass someone.
Oh, God.
Not because they're your friend, but because they're trying to alert you that
Now that you have freaking
a cup of coffee in your car. I just want to do this as a prank though, because anytime, and I don't know why, possibly just because I've seen movies where this happens, or you've seen like the one odd meme on social media, but every time someone puts any kind of drink on top of their car, I don't care. I just get instantly nervous. Do you feel the same way?
yes, a little bit, yes, actually.
Just don't do it. I don't care. Sit it on the ground. I don't care. Somehow hold it in a weird like, an angle. Just do not put that on top of your car because I cannot. Every time I see that, I always imagine just driving off and it's spilling everywhere, and it's just like ugh. All right. So the next one is, if you feel lonely, just watch a horror movie at night. I
Uh,
hate. I don't. I do not like horror films at all. And you're the same way, right?
yeah, I mean, it depends on which one. If it's like everybody's watching a horror movie, then I'll watch it. Like, it depends on the
Mm-hmm.
situation. Like, if I'm at a party or something and my friends are watching a movie, then I'll be on board to watch the movie. But if it's anything besides that, I'll be like, no, go away.
Yeah. Plus, I'm okay with like psychological thrillers, like It or something, or Quiet Place. Those movies aren't really like scary, but those like based on a true story about like some haunted doll who kills a family. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'll pass that. I
Yeah,
don't need to watch that.
I don't really like stuff like that either. Like I don't like the based on true story crap. Like apparently, what was it? I heard that really famous one was based on a true story. What is it? The Exorcist. The Exorcist is based on a true story. I'm like, are you
What the
serious?
heck?
Like, have you seen The Exorcist?
I've not.
Dro, I've seen The Exorcist. If that's true, I'm praying. Like I understand that it was probably dramatized some for effect on
Entertainment?
the yeah, for the entertainment, thank you, in the movie. But if you're telling me that, like, obviously I don't know the true events that happened behind the thing, and if I read it on paper, then it would probably not sound not as good as what I think it would be.
Hmm.
But if a girl actually had her head twist all the way around and be possessed by a demon, yeah, that
At that
that
point, it'd be like, I'm signing off.
yeah, I'd be like, listen, I'm gonna go live in a monastery somewhere.
It even extends to playing horror games. Like I've tried to play
Remember when you
like
tricked me into playing
Outlast.
Outlast?
Yeah.
Yeah, you told me it was like a strategy game.
Yep.
Yeah, remember that?
Yep,
Yeah,
I
I remember
remember
that.
that. Oh, that was great.
I did not find that great.
But yeah, like never will I ever play it at night just to torture myself. It's just like, dude, sleep is one of the most important things, as you'll know when we get into the topic of how to deal with stress. So I am not okay with not sleeping. And I mean, I guess since I've gotten older, like I'm not really too affected by too many horror things. You know, like as I
Hmm.
said before, like A Quiet Place and stuff like that, where it's like psychological thrillers or where it's too over the top to be scary. Like I'm not scared of The Quiet Place. Like, of course, it's
Yeah,
like,
I mean, I was scared of the Quiet Place. I think what it is a lot of like, I think they pretty much coined, I mean, not coined, but pretty much gave a reason as to why there are jump scares everywhere, and that's because they
oh
had to be
yeah,
quiet. Like, I think that 98% of the scares that are in that movie is just because they needed to be quiet.
right.
Yeah,
Or like
and
aliens and stuff like that. Like that's creepy, but that's just
I
out of this
hate
world.
Alien.
So.
I mean, I don't hate it as in like it's bad, but I hate
Hmm.
it as in I hate the way that it scares me every time I watch it.
Yeah.
Like
It's
it
creepy.
like a like a movie like that should not be able to affect me in the way that it does
Why not?
after I've seen it 1,000 times. Like I've seen Alien too many times to be affected by it the way that I am, you know?
Really? And you're still affected by it?
I'm still affected by seeing that alien. I don't hate the alien that much, but I hate face huggers.
Oh, yeah, that whole idea.
I hate that.
Yeah,
I
that is definitely creepy.
yeah,
Not
it's
not a fan.
yeah.
Anyway, moving on to the next one. If you're going to commit a robbery, rob a police station, what are they gonna do? Call the cops?
That one
Pro
was
tip at
actually
life.
something I found funny. Yeah,
I laughed at that one too. I'm like, wait, what?
yeah, that one I found funny.
I
That
guess
is,
it sounds good on paper.
yeah, it sounds good on paper, I guess.
Task failed successfully. I don't really think we have any comments about that except
I,
that don't do that.
yeah, don't rob any place, obviously.
All right, so the next one.
Hmm.
Get a parrot and teach it to say, I'm finally getting used to this body. How would you react though if you went into someone's house and like they had a parrot who said that?
I think I would just think that they were pranking me.
I mean, yeah, I feel like since it's a parrot and I feel like everyone knows that you can teach parrots to talk and say things.
Yeah, if you got a dog to say that, I would be a little
Right.
bit freaked out.
Or a
But
cat, it's like what the
yeah,
heck?
you
But
can
yeah, parrot
train a parrot to say anything.
is quite obvious. But oddly enough, my family actually had a parrot before and it was while I was still like little. I guess it would be it was definitely before high school. Ooh, like it was a while ago. Like I had to be like in elementary school probably.
Hmm.
And so my mom would curse a lot, and of course at this time she didn't want me to curse at all. So the parrot would repeat a lot of the curse words that my mom said, and then she got angry at the parrot, and then the parrot kept just repeating what she would say and just get more angry and angry, and it was great. So
My
Oh gosh.
my girlfriend has a parrot.
Really?
Yeah.
Thought it's just a weird animal to have.
I don't understand why anybody keeps birds as pets. Like, I would think if there was one animal you shouldn't be able to keep as a pet, I would think it would be something that literally is supposed to be flying.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I never really. Well, however, like the parrot that we had, its wings were clipped, so I don't.
Yeah, but
Or
did you
like,
clip the wings?
no, like it was like abused or something. I don't remember the
Oh, that's
story.
a little different, but I'm talking
Yeah,
like if somebody is breeding a parrot just to clip its wings so that way somebody can keep it in a cage all of its life.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm like, that's kind of crap, you know?
that's true. I never really thought about it that way, but yeah, that's true. How like it's a flying animal, it really shouldn't be left in a cage to
The
like
only
only
reason I
fly
even
around.
have this opinion is because I saw Rio the other day.
Really?
Yeah, the one with Jesse
Oh my
Eisenberg.
gosh.
I
Yeah.
my I like that movie a lot actually.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah.
Moving on to our next question. And this one is kind of stupid, admittedly. I don't know why I have it on here. And that's, it's not really life advice, it's just like a statement.
Hmm.
And that's if both basketball teams just work together, they could score so many more points.
That's true.
And I'm like, yeah, but that's just sort of a stupid statement where how would that work?
Yeah, what I would do is I would team up with the other team, and then I'd be like, "Listen, guys, we can get a lot of 3-pointers if we just work together." And then
Or like you just like make friends with other people. He's like, hey, I'll let you get a couple 3 pointers if you let me get a couple 3 pointers.
yeah,
Some weird thing.
and obviously that takes like the Christmas truce type.
Christmas truths?
Yeah,
The
no, it's
heck?
Christmas truce. Have you never heard that story?
I've not.
Oh, it's where like a bunch of people, it was during like World War I, and both teams for Christmas stopped fighting and they actually were like playing like soccer together and everything. I'm pretty sure they tried it multiple times, but it only worked one year, and the other time I think somebody just tried to walk over a trench with a basket with a soccer ball or something, and I think somebody from the opposite side just shot him.
What the heck?
Yeah, man. Don't trust anybody in a war zone, man.
That's messed up, dude.
It wasn't.
That's messed up.
Yeah, I don't think it was ideal. Then again, don't walk across the war zone with nothing with a basketball or whatever it was, a soccer
I guess
ball.
that's true. Moving on to the next one, though. And that's if you want to download a YouTube video, just take a screenshot of every second and just play it on PowerPoint.
That'd be one long PowerPoint.
I wonder how that would look though if you just keep playing it over and over again, frame by
Probably
frame.
terrible.
It's like some stop motion stuff. Speaking of which, dude, stop motion is like cool, except for the fact that it takes like 3 million years.
Yeah, I literally don't understand how 3 movies are made. And it's like, I think it was like one of the, what was it? It was like the one where, I think it was like Coraline or something like that, where it's like it takes 2 weeks to get 3 seconds of footage. I'm like, how does anything get made?
Right.
Like how you're telling me it takes 2 weeks to get 3 seconds worth of footage?
Right.
Then
I think it's
how
more
does
than that, but yeah, I know what you mean.
but yeah, then like how does literally anything get made? Then how did 90-minute movies get made?
I guess it's just for the sole fact that people just love to say, "Hey, it's made with stop motion," even though like it took them a ridiculously long time,
Like who
and probably wasn't worth
cares?
it for the money.
Yeah, like just imagine somebody who has to do that for however long they're gonna do that for. Imagine saying, "Oh yeah, I think it was worth it because a movie came out and it sold out in like millions of dollars." Great, but
Right.
that person still spent a humongous amount of time with those stupid things,
Right,
with
and
the
it's like
figures.
equivalent to watching paint dry, dude. It's like
It
it's
literally
not
is.
fun.
It's insane.
So I don't really know why the heck why you would ever want to do something like that.
I like animation, but stop motion animation, God. I'm sure some people love it. I'm sure they do. And if you're passionate about stop motion animation, all power to you, but I ain't.
Yeah. But for the next one,
Mhm.
being vegan is easy. Just stare at the sun and you'll be all good thanks to photosynthesis
What?
because that's how that works.
Oh, it's like filter feeding from SpongeBob.
Yeah. And I'm like I feel like that's not how that works, but
It ain't
you
how that
know,
works.
if it works for you, then all power to you.
If it works for you, you basically eliminated any use for food ever and solved world hunger. Like,
then you're a plant. So
Yeah, yeah. If you're able to splice your genes with the plants and able to photosynthesize, you literally have solved probably half the problems that face overpopulation.
now, like I forget, like in this one sci-fi show that I was watching the other day, someone said that they were trying to solve world hunger by just like, what if for the rest of your life you only ate one thing and we could just mass produce that one thing? Would that be like satisfying though? Because
No.
exactly. But also, if world hunger was solved though, wouldn't that be a good thing though? At the downside of only eating like one thing and having no variety at all.
I think it would be nice, but that is assuming that every person wants to eat that exact same thing. And if this pandemic has taught us anything, is that people are going to ignore things if it doesn't suit their needs or their wants. Like people are literally going outside for toilet paper because people are literally taking up so much of it. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It literally is ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah, like there's no I don't think I've seen anything that's telling me yes, people are going to do things that benefit entirely of humanity. No, you want to know what you're going to do? You're going to benefit your family.
Well, the whole idea of panic buying is just so silly. And again, like we talked about this before, is that the whole idea of with the toilet paper thing and everything, it's just it's you can't avoid it because if you try and be that one guy who's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna buy toilet paper, ha ha, I'm normal," then guess what's gonna happen? You're gonna be out of toilet paper, so jokes on you.
Yeah,
So it's just sort of just something that's never gonna end, and that's with any sort of panic buying. Like my mom told me recently, although I don't know if it's completely true, that like there's meat shortages on I think like pork and beef and stuff like that. But
doesn't
so
surprise
then
me.
stores have to limit the amount of beef and stuff you can buy because they're experiencing shortages, and it's like the reason why I have to do that is because people are stupid and they're like, oh, beef, I have to run to the store and buy as much beef as possible and then freeze it. It's like you can live without beef, you can live without toilet paper, like what?
I mean, I'd prefer to live without beef long before I lived without toilet paper, just saying. Like,
You can use other substitutes for toilet paper though.
yeah, but do you really
Granted, it'd
want
be a
to?
little more difficult. I mean, no, but at the same time, beef is really like
Like, if you
not
told
important.
me, if you put a gun to my head and told me to pick some toilet paper over beef, I'd probably pick the toilet paper.
I want to know when the situation would happen.
Be like,
Someone
hey,
points a gun to you, toilet paper or beef.
yeah, toilet paper beef.
Take one and leave it.
Yeah,
Things
one.
you don't hear every day. Oh gosh. Anyway, I think we should
Yeah.
move on to our next question.
All right.
And that is to protect yourself from identity theft, just have a very low credit score. Because if you can't take out a mortgage, nobody else can either.
Okay, that's a
Pro
little weird.
tips.
Yeah, I wouldn't follow that life advice.
I mean, it. I feel like out of all these, that one is the one guaranteed to work because there is some logic to it. Because if you can't take a mortgage out in your name, nobody else will be able to either.
I
So,
guess. Great.
task failed successfully.
Yeah, your life's ruined, but you know, I mean, it's not ruined, but you're not helping anybody. Like,
I've
like,
heard like memes like that where it's like college students who are like, "Oh, I'm not gonna suffer from identity theft. I only have $5 in my bank account."
yeah.
And I'm like, I
There's
guess that's
definitely
true,
richer people on the planet to steal from, like than me.
right? Imagine stealing someone's identity and then seeing that they only have like $3. It's like,
That'd be
oh,
ridiculous.
great,
Be like, well, that was a waste of time.
right?
Yeah, have you ever seen the movie Catch Me If You Can?
I actually have. I think I saw it for school for online experience. Oddly enough, I don't really know how that related to online experience. We did a lot of weird stuff in that class, but
Well,
yeah.
the guy from Catch Me If You Can said that it's even easier now to steal somebody's identity than it was in like the 60s or whatever he was. And I'm like, that's insane to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like apparently he says all you need is your name and a birthday.
LA?
I'm like, that's all you need? That's insanity.
I wonder if that still holds up or if that was just like fiction for the
Like
sake
it
of the
was
story.
like it was oh, I think like the story itself is true, but I want to
Hmm.
know how much I want to know how much of it was dramatic dramatized, I guess, or whatever.
That is the word for it.
Couldn't spit it out.
Yeah, it's definitely crazy, but let's move on to our next question.
Mhm.
Or, no, not next question. Next piece of bad life advice. And that
Mhm.
is if you encounter a homeless person, just beat them up so then they can go to the hospital and have a nice bed to sleep on.
There you go.
You get a free trip to the hospital,
Yeah, there you go. You're welcome.
except for the fact that they would have to pay for the hospital bills. So,
Yeah.
a
Or it'd
little
go
bit
from
of a
taxpayer
caveat.
dollar, or it'd be on the taxpayer's dollar.
Yeah, so that's fine.
Yeah, whatever. Whatever.
But like, imagine being homeless and then like a zombie apocalypse happens. It'd be like, oh, okay, that's cool.
Dude, I feel so bad for like homeless people because like let's say like even this pandemic itself, like who do you think is getting affected first? People who are staying indoors, people who literally don't have a door to shut, you know?
Yeah, I guess they're probably social distancing though.
Be like nobody passes the curb.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it is definitely very unfortunate.
Be like you stay on that side of the sidewalk, I'll stay on this side of the sidewalk, okay?
What the heck? Oh my gosh.
Obviously, I'm not doing that to make fun of homeless people. I do feel that it's very unfortunate that people are very homeless, but obviously I
People
can't do.
are very homeless.
Yeah, people are very
Not
homeless.
just homeless, very homeless.
You know what I mean? Very homeless.
Exactly, very homeless. So,
Very homeless.
so that's it for the funny ones. Now it's sort of get into a little more controversial ones. Starting
Mm,
off with the one of never change who you are.
stupid. I feel like there should be a big asterisk next to that. It says never change for anyone for anyone. Like that's a pretty good life advice. Like you need to be who you are. But at the same
Uh,
time, if you were the same person that you were when you were 10 years old, that would be horrible, right? Like
right,
you're constantly changing. You're constantly having worldviews that shift, right?
right.
So, what, like, are you telling me that you would never want to change your worldview because, like, you're never going to change, so all the opinions you have right now are going to be the opinions you have until the day that you die? Are you
I
telling me
think
that?
that's kind of dumb.
Yeah, you can't do that. Like, a lot of my political views have changed over the course of my life and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. Like, if you're always going to be the way that you are, then what's the point, you know?
Right. Well, plus, dude, I mean, I feel like a lot of people feel the same way in high school. It's like I feel like in high school I changed like a lot every single year.
Yeah, there was high school, I'm pretty sure, is like the ultimate extreme version of life. I feel like it's a good place to figure out like what a work environment would be like because a principal's office and like a guidance counselor is pretty much the perfect setup model for an HR representative that doesn't care that you're sad or
That
doesn't
is so
care that
true.
and is gonna just be like do whatever you're gonna do, you know?
Right, who's
Like
probably underpaid and doesn't
yeah,
really care about you.
that like just doesn't care about you at all. Anyway, and like all the coworkers are gonna be mean to you probably, unless like I think the one thing that I do like, I mean, I didn't like that I was bullied in elementary school or anything like that, but it kind of let me just wear off or like shrug off the things that I didn't like when people were saying things about me, anything like that,
Hmm.
because like for the first few weeks at my job that I currently have right now, people were just laying into me, you know?
Really?
Yeah, because it's a job where they were trying to see what I was made of because
Oh
I'm the
my
youngest person
gosh.
there.
What were they saying to you?
They were calling me like a brat and stuff like that.
What the heck?
Yeah, and the person who called me like a brat, now he literally like since I was able to shrug off everything that he said, he now helps me out with my transactions like all the time and things like that when I'm
What?
struggling. He's even offered to
Their
give me
in,
shooting lessons,
their initiation?
pretty much,
Just
basically.
beat you up, and if you take it, they're like, "Hey,
Yeah, it'll be
welcome
like
to the
that.
team."
It'll be like one of the what's that crappy show, Riverdale? It'll be like the
Yeah,
initiation for like the South Side Serpents or whatever it's called.
yeah. Oh
God, that
my
show's so
god.
terrible. We're gonna have to watch an episode and see how long we can last.
Well, the first episode was, or I'm sorry, the first season was fine because it was only 13 episodes, I think. But then they made it where it was dumb, and they did like 22 episodes, like every other TV show that's just bad, where they had to do like 20 arcs, in one season, and then that's when it started being bad, and then they just lost all of its cohesive storytelling. But
Yeah,
that's the topic for another episode.
good.
But
Right.
yeah, I pretty much agree with what you had to say. Like, don't really change for other people, especially if it's someone like a love interest or something. That's just a
Yeah, because
recipe for disaster.
yeah, that's like getting a tattoo of their name on your arm. It's
Ooh,
probably a bad idea.
not a good plan.
Not a good plan at all.
That's what Kyle's do.
That's what that no, you
Don't
know
be a
who does
Kyle.
that? Karens. Or
Yeah,
not
and Karens.
or not Karens, like did they ever give like a name to like the girl the internet's crazy girlfriend, like that meme?
I don't think so.
That's who gets a tattoo of your name on their arm. Or
Right.
on her, it'd probably be like her like thigh or something like that, because that's where girls get tattoos, like when they're especially crazy.
Oh my gosh, that's too much. But yeah, that's not a good idea. But yeah, I would say that changing usually is, or I guess changing for the better and like improving yourself is like a very good thing to do.
Yeah.
Like changing for other people is not a good idea, but it sort of depends because if you're changing for like a certain work environment, or I don't know, if you're going to college, I guess like I don't really know sort of how to like phrase that, but like say like possibly you waited a whole long time, or like say like you're just trying to get your life back together or something,
Yeah, you
and
just
say
gotta
you're
form
going back to
different, like
college.
forming different habits and things like that.
Right. I think
Yeah,
that works, but
yeah, that's fine. But like saying that you're gonna change like personality wise, if my girlfriend told me that I had to stop doing literally half the things that I like doing because she didn't like them, I'd be like, bye.
yeah.
It isn't worth it in the end.
Right. So, especially in high school, I feel like, I mean, I don't really know how much it goes into college because at least that point people are becoming adults, but especially in high school, that happens way too much where it's like,
Yeah, I'd be like,
oh,
can you
you
get
want me to.
change for me?
Right.
Mm-mm.
It's like, ugh,
Yeah, I'd be like, go
gross.
away. You do you, fam.
All right. This next one is always tell the truth. And that is, I don't know, I guess I'll start with my opinions. And like, one thing I realized before, I don't really know how long ago it was, but like I don't think it was like very like long ago. I would say I think it was like off of TV shows that I realized that lying seems to be only to protect something. Whether it's to protect yourself, like from getting in trouble or something, protecting somebody else from their feelings getting hurt, or just
Hmm.
protecting something that is abstract, like I don't know, like you're protecting something from getting taken away. Although I guess that would still affect you, but it's
Yeah.
either way to protect something.
Hmm.
So, and of course, in TV shows, it's always cringy to be like, "Oh, I hid this from you to protect you," and it's like, "I don't need protection." Blah. It's like, of course, that's a cliche. In real life, I guess, do you really ever think lying has its merits?
Not that I can find. I have
Like at all?
no. The only times that I mean, I try my best not to lie. Obviously, like who goes out of their way to lie? But every time that I do lie, like I'm a really bad liar. Like
Uh
when
huh.
I'm lying. Like I don't have that poker face or anything like that. And when I do lie, I laugh. So everybody knows. So there's no point in me lying. That's why I'm a pretty bad person to ask about this, because there's no point in me lying.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because I know I'm just gonna get caught. There's no point in lying if you're just gonna get caught. So I mean, if I
I
was
guess
better
it's
at
true.
lying, if I was better at lying, that might change my opinion. But I don't. I'm not good at it.
And I guess it sort of extends to yeah, like also again with the idea of protecting, it's like what if it's something like it's brutal honesty where it's like, oh, don't lie to say no hurt somebody else.
Yeah, I think
Like
there
I
was
have
a
this person
Jesse episode about that. Ever watched Jesse?
I have
It's on,
not.
no, it was on like Disney Channel. It had like Debbie Ryan. The only reason it reminds me of that is because people are just tearing into her on Snapchat, and I don't know why. People are just
Really?
roasting her about like all the old crap that she did because it's cringy, and everybody's thinks that they were cool when they were in high school or however old Debbie Ryan was supposed to be
Uh-huh.
in those things. And then she was like, she obviously she's I don't know what she's in now or anything like that, but who can you name a Disney Channel star that actually is a good actor?
Probably not, but this is a tad bit off topic. What the heck?
Yeah, but there was like a Jesse episode where it was like, oh, I lied to protect you, when the mom had like a modeling brand that was after like the 80s or something. And then the Jessie
Mm-hmm.
was like, she didn't say anything because she was like, oh, I don't want to hurt the woman who gave me this job's feelings or anything like that. And then the mom was like, yeah, it would kind of been nice if you would have just hurt my feelings, because this show that I put on, because she was like a runway fashion designer or whatever. She's like, this cost me millions of dollars and you didn't, or hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you could have prevented that just by saying my idea was terrible or something like that.
What the heck?
It was an over dramatized version, to be sure, but I thought it was
Uh-huh.
pretty funny.
But but yeah, like I have this person at work where she is so annoying, and like she's this type where I have to say my one pet peeve is that if you're in like the worst personality type where I would never be able to be with them in a relationship, or I would never like just get this person away from me, is someone who just talks way too much. Like the Karens who go to the grocery store just to chat it up, just delete yourself immediately if that's you. If that's you. And it's
I'm
just
telling
like
people to delete themselves. I feel like we're gonna get demonetized or something for that.
it'll be fine. But anyways, I hate that personality type. And the reason I hate it is just because I have to hold back myself from just telling them just to go away. And I
That's
hate doing that.
that's
And
98% of what society is being nice, is smiling through, is just like hating them with a smile. That's what society
yeah.
is. That's what for the most part every single work relationship you're gonna have.
Right. That's so true, but like she's just the worst where I'm like that's just the one thing I hate doing is trying to hold myself back cuz like I am that type of person who like I am honest where I think I've told you this before, but I had a friend once, I think it was in high school. Yeah, I think it was like either 8th grade, maybe ninth grade where you know the person I'm talking about. I'm not gonna name them, but where I just straight up told them where I'm like, I don't want to be your friend. You're like weird, and I didn't say that. Like I'm paraphrasing here, where I'm like, I don't want to be your friend at all, and they just like it was tough because I'm like, I guess I was their only friend, and I'm like, sorry, but maybe we'll get into this in a different podcast, but. I am under the impression that like I shouldn't have to be anyone's friend. Like I am not responsible for
Well, yeah,
anyone's
you shouldn't
happiness.
have to be anyone's friend. If you have to be somebody's friend, you're not their friend.
Well,
But
yeah, like I believe that unless it's somebody that like is your significant other or like family, you're not responsible for their happiness whatsoever. And if you want to ditch them, even if I guess you're sort of the one who comes off as being, the rude one, like, oh well. And
yeah,
that's sort of how I was, where I'm like, hippity hoppity, get off my property. And I could tell that it destroyed that person a lot, but I'm like, whoopsies, you're being annoying, so
hmm
I had to delete you from my life. So it's just I'm a very honest person and I cannot stand when people are just not honest.
yeah.
Or when I have to hold myself back.
You
You
would
know what
hate
I
a
mean?
corporate job because that's all it is.
Well, yeah. But anyways, let's move on, and I think we'll do sort of like two more of these, and then we'll get into the topic of how to deal with stress. And that is for the next one. If you ignore the bullies, they will stop bothering you. This is something that parents, I guess, love to say, sort of thing, and I guess teachers in a way. And I guess it works to an extent, but
Yeah, like it worked with me, like how I said, like how it let me deal with people at my job.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, like obviously I didn't like the fact that I was bullied, and I wish nobody would, but at the same time, I hate to be the person who has to say like nobody cares, but at the same time, it's like, does the faculty really care?
Right, I feel like work is a different situation than school
hmm
because I mean, all schools have a zero tolerance for bullying, but it's like that's
Oh yeah,
really
like who's
mm, right.
yeah, like you can see, like if you can see bullying, it's a little different, but now everybody just bullies each other online.
Yeah, either that or just like not in school. Like I don't really think I ever had like a time where somebody walked into class and just was like, "You're so stupid. I hate you." Like right in front of the teacher. Like that's not gonna happen.
Yeah,
It's
that's
stuff that's
dumb.
outside of school, like like in the bathroom or something, or outside. Like I guess possibly during like recess if it's not in high school, because of course high school doesn't have something like that. But other stuff like that, I guess during lunch, it's like it's just outside of the teacher or outside of what the
Like,
teachers see. I guess you know what I mean.
yeah, like outside their jurisdiction.
Right. And then I remember in high school, the one time that I really solved like an issue the best way in terms of like involving a teacher was I think I emailed like the teacher or something, and then they called the person down to the office or something, and
Mhm.
I just was like, because I knew this person wasn't like personally trying to offend me, all they were doing was just making like stupid racist jokes, and I'm like,
And when was this again?
yeah, it was in high school, like it was my senior year.
Oh, I was afraid like this person was like I thought this was like elementary school for a second. I was
No,
like, what?
no. And I'm not saying like purposely racist humor. I'm just saying that like stupid humor that they don't realize is just not funny at all. I remember I just told the assistant principal whatever where I'm like, I just want to have a talk with this person, just tell them that their humor is stupid and just to stop. And that's exactly what happened, and it settled it. And of course this person tried to like call me out, be like, "Oh, what are you going to do? Call the AP again?" And I'm like, with how honest I am, I'm like, I mean, possibly. I mean, if you're going to continue on being, stupid and making unfunny racist jokes, then I will. And he's like, "Oh, and I'm the type to call out people like in front of everyone else. So of course everyone else is like, ooh, whoa. And I'm like, I'm not trying to get a reaction or get a crowd. I'm just saying that you need to stop with this stupid humor. And that's the end of it. I'm not tattletaling on you. I'm just saying that. And it would be like a situation where I would literally walk away from this person and then they would follow me. And I'm like, what are you trying to accomplish right now? Like, I've already specifically told you straight up to your face that your jokes are stupid and that I don't really care about you, and then you continually try to follow me.
I think that's like an ego thing where they have to start a fight, to reclaim whatever of their honor that you seem to have destroyed or something like
Their
that.
honor.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know.
Their honor, because for some reason everybody thinks getting called out is like the worst thing that you think is gonna happen to you ever in your life. I can
You gonna
guarantee you it.
challenge me
Yeah,
in like
are you challenging me,
a
bro?
duel?
You
I shall
challenge.
defend my honor. It's like,
That's
okay, dude.
exactly what.
Yeah, I
Like
mean, I
I'm
get what you
pretty sure
mean.
people who challenge each other to duels, it was pretty much the 17th century equivalent to getting called out at lunch.
Yeah, true. But for me, I don't really think ignoring bullies is the best thing. Obviously, giving into it is what they want, but and I do
Yeah.
think a lot of different times it's really hard to go to the authorities because again, with me and like I handled this situation I think in a responsible way, but still that same person used that against me where they're like, "Oh, you told the teacher. What are you going to do that again?" So it's just like
Oh my God. Can we
which
talk about this after the podcast and tell me who this person was? Because I just
yeah.
genuinely am curious as to why, as to who
Yeah,
this person was.
yeah, it's fine, but it's just like that oftentimes adds fuel to the fire. So I think a good way to do it is not to tell your kids to ignore them. It's just to sort of like I don't really know because it depends on the person, but just handle it responsibly. And a lot of times, getting adults involved will not help unless you're trying to like scare a kid straight.
Yeah.
Where it's like some dad going into school being like, "If you mess with my son again, I'm gonna beat you up." It's like, oh gosh.
Yeah, I don't like those kinds of parents that they're so blind that they can't tell that their kid is the problem.
Right. It's like the dad who comes in who like just choke slams the kid.
Like obviously I don't want that, but if I get if I get like if my son or I assume it would be a boy, but if my kid he gets called to the office and he was like, "Oh, he was bullying somebody," I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, okay, I'm gonna take care of this. There's no reason for you to be involved in this. I am totally capable of punishing a child."
Right. I think that's what has like a whole lot of influence is how the parent deals.
Yeah,
Because
like
if they don't do anything, then the kid's not gonna care.
yeah, and obviously you shouldn't like let your kid just be the worst kind of human being.
Right.
And I don't really like people who are like, "Oh, my kid is fine." Like, no, he's not. He's literally trying to choke another kid out over there. What are you talking
Yeah.
about? He's fine.
It's fine. He's fine. Don't worry about it. He's fine.
He's not fine.
He's
Stop,
fine.
stop saying he's fine.
He's fine. All right. So the last thing of bad life advice. Now this one's going to be a little controversial before we get into the main topic for today.
Mm,
Is money doesn't buy happiness. Now, interestingly enough, money does actually buy happiness up to a certain point, statistically, that is, and that
Okay.
is about $70,000 to $75,000 a year is the cutoff point. In which after that, it doesn't
Mm,
really have any impact statistically.
mm.
People who, on average, make more up to $75,000 are generally more happier. So,
Like, obviously, you don't want. I think like not being and having enough money to pay bills and other things like that is kind of
yep.
annoying. Like, it definitely. I think after you have enough money to like pay bills and live comfortably after that, I think you're pretty much set. Like, I think that's probably the happiest you're gonna get, and then everything else is kind of just like it's a nice bonus, but it's not gonna make you
Hmm.
feel great, I guess. It's not gonna make you. It's not when you see like $1 million. It's not gonna be like euphoric or anything like that, you know?
If you can't afford Christmas presents for your kid, that's just like not gonna be a good thing. Or like if money is an issue in like a marriage,
Hmm.
then that causes conflict.
Yeah. Like obviously there's certain expectations that you have to meet as a parent, and one of those is paying bills, but
Right. So I do think it's interesting how it's up to that point. I understand people who might live a life where they're comfortable in a middle class situation, especially with like if they don't have kids or they just have, a couple kids and they have,
hmm
enough in savings to where they're okay. But,
right.
I think for some people like me, I don't really know how to word it. Like I don't want to sound like that one guy where like it's that Gen Z person who's just, where it's just like I would prefer not necessarily to be rich, but to
hmm
like live comfortably. And that's not only for myself, but also to be able to support people in my life, albeit like family or, like a significant other or thing,
Yeah,
or even kids.
I think that's a pretty good way of putting it. Like, oh, I just want to support my family. I think that'd be fine. Like,
Right.
I don't think that's if there was a noble goal, I think it'd be that one.
Or like even be able to donate to charities, because oddly enough, poor people don't donate to charity. Surprise, surprise, and that's just because
Just
duh
get a
they can't
loan and do
afford
it.
it.
Yeah, just get a loan and do it, bro.
Keep getting loans to donate to charity. You see, you might have no credit score at all and be in debt, but at least you have a good heart.
Be like, yeah, that'd be a twist.
He's in debt, but he's a good person.
Yeah, he's a good person though. It's fine.
So I just think that's interesting. It's just that like I would want to be financially secure just to be able to support people in my life, not really to be able to buy like 20 houses and 20 cars and just to flex. It would be I would
Yeah.
want to have like a lot of money so I can support other people and I can provide like value to the world, I guess,
hmm
or
Yeah,
ways
that makes sense.
because unfortunately poor people do not really do that oftentimes. So.
Jesus. Yeah.
I'm not saying that as like, to roast you. I'm just saying that as a fact.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a sad fact, but I mean, it's true. And like, I don't like when rich people, flex about, oh, I donated this amount. Like, did you hear how a while back COVID-19 of how I think it was what the owner of Twitter or whatever, the CEO donated like a large portion of his network or of his net worth when the
Net
people,
worth.
yeah, where the people of like Facebook and Amazon only donated like 0.5% or something of theirs.
I think a really good indicator if somebody actually cares is by saying like if they do it regardless of anybody knowing about it is a good
Yeah.
good
Hmm.
way because if you know, then it doesn't count. In my personal opinion.
Right.
Like I just think that like you should be doing it out of the kindness of your heart, not because you want another human being to know how generous you are is a good.
Right.
Yeah.
Not just a flex.
Yeah, not just to flex.
Right. So I think that's pretty good for the bad life advice. Honestly, I think considering how long we talked about this can be an episode in itself. So perhaps we might do something like that in the future. But moving on to our next topic, and that is how to deal with stress. Good ways, bad ways. So we're gonna start off with some bad ways and then get into the good ways. So
Mhm.
now before we get into that, I also wanted to say that we're not gonna really get into a lot of bad ways because I feel like most people sort of already, I guess, unconscious or subconsciously know bad ways to deal with stress.
Yeah.
Because even though they might still do it and still might participate in it, they like know that it's not healthy, even though they still do it. Which there are multiple reasons as to why, and it's not entirely their fault. But so
Yeah.
yeah, there's that. And I guess before we start, Curtis, you had a story of what someone on Snapchat
Yeah,
who
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you want to tell it?
I'm not gonna give them their name,
Well,
obviously, but
yeah, duh.
there was a woman that I knew that was attending the same college. She dropped out and went and joined the Navy, and thank God she did, because I think that she was not happy in the way that she was now. I mean, obviously she wasn't happy, but you know what I mean. Like, I'm happy
Mm-hmm.
that she moved on and did something better, arguably better than what I'm doing right now. So she was taking a final exam last semester, and the anxiety was so terrible that she was literally vomiting, and she had it on her Snapchat story as if it was a joke, and I didn't find it funny at all. I didn't find it funny that somebody was literally torturing themselves with going to school, even if they couldn't handle it to the point of them throwing up, because that's not
Right.
good for you at all.
Like that's just like a whole load of problems just on that where it's just concerning, where it's like not only are they doing that to themselves, where it's a form of self-harm, they're sharing it, which is another just form of ugh, and they're sharing it in a comedic way where that's just like not only is that concerning the fact that they're comfortable even sharing that on something like Snapchat, but
Hmm.
it's just like that is like layers and layers of like, oh no.
Yeah, I don't particularly like people that find it funny to do that at all. Like, I guess if you wanted to have a laugh at your misfortune, I guess good on you and go for it, but at the same time I don't want to hear about you throwing up.
Right. Or like any form of self harm. Like that's just ugh,
Yeah,
not
no,
a good
I don't.
plan.
I don't like that at all. But again, good for her. She's going in the Navy. Good for her. Doing a lot better now. Thank God.
And like out of all the ways of self harming, that is like one of the weirdest that I've heard.
Yeah.
Forcing yourself to throw up. Like that is like not
I
only
mean,
is
I
that
don't
like
think she wanted
gross.
to.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying like not only is that like gross to think about, but like that also has very bad implications as well. So
Yeah.
it's just
I did not like I met her like once or twice or something like that, but she seemed to be a pretty well adjusted human being, and then it kind of made me sad to think like she it made me sad to think she dropped out because I lost a friend, I
mm-hmm.
guess. But at the same time, she needed to do it to make herself happy, and I am 110% on board for that.
Mm-hmm. Like I said before, like a self harm would not be good, but publicly sharing that is just even worse. So, ugh.
Yeah.
But let's move on to more ways of how not to deal with stress. Obviously, with that being one, this is actually pretty interesting, and that's to avoid caffeine, alcohol, and nicotine. Now, of course,
Mm.
if you're in college, you're supposed to be avoiding alcohol anyways, but we all know
Yeah,
the criminals out there.
let's
You
be
know who
real
you
here.
are. Now, in case you happen to sleep through your health class, caffeine and nicotine are what's known as stimulants, which increase energy levels and increase alertness, and that also in return increases your stress. So
Mm.
not a good plan. So even though you might want to stay up late at night and be like, "Oh, I'm tired. Let's have some caffeine." Not a good plan because that will also make you more stressed. And also, we'll talk about it a little later. Poor sleeping habits does not help at all. Now, alcohol, interestingly enough, is a depressant. However, in small quantities, it can act as a stimulant. And of course, alcohol is not even that helpful, anyways. I mean, it works, I guess, to relieve stress for a temporary time, but then afterwards it comes back. And then I guess if you keep using alcohol as sort of a mode to relieve stress, then it gets to be an addiction that is a whole other issue. So it's just how to good play. Now, of course, you're not supposed to be having that anyways, but we all know that criminals exist.
Hmm.
So, and that's just the same thing with nicotine. I guess what, like, should they change that? Is it 18? Or, like, what? In
I
this
think it's
state, it's 21 now, right?
yeah, I think it's 21 now.
And then I think, yeah, like in Ohio, I think it's like one of the states is like still 18, right? Is that like what Ohio is 18, or is it?
I have no clue.
I think one of the states is 18, and then the other one is 21. And I remember when that first happened, the store I was at sort of made a joke about it of how it's like, well, if you're caught on the border, like what exactly are they gonna do? You're
Mm.
just gonna have to run across real quick and be like, no, it's legal here. some weird crap. So moving on, as we said before, poor sleeping habits. Now I'm curious, have you ever stayed up to study for an exam?
Yes.
So that's like that is the single worst thing that you could possibly do. The
I mean, it
single
just,
worst thing.
yeah, it just, I don't know. It just made sense in my mind while I was doing it. And it's
Well,
not like
yeah.
kids are known for their rationality, you know?
Well, yeah, it makes sense, but that is literally like the most counterproductive thing that you could be doing, and that is to stay up to try and study. Because if you don't get enough sleep, your brain does not have enough time to cement those memories into long term. So then it's essentially you're doing nothing, and with less sleep, you're gonna feel tired and not even be focused. So it's just not a good
Yeah.
plan. So I guess logically it makes sense to be like, oh, I'm gonna stay up to study. It's like, okay, Einstein, not a good plan.
Yeah.
Do you know like any other people who stay up?
Dude, I've known people that are so hardcore about the exam that they'll stay up for like they'll get maybe like 48 hours of sleep over the span of like a week
Oh
studying for an
no.
exam. It's
Where does this
crazy.
idea come from? Like,
Like I
sleep
guess they
is, especially when it comes to memorizing stuff, sleep is so important. And like I know teachers in I think we talked about it like 20 times in psychology class where it's like do not stay up to study for a test. And even though it might seem like well if you don't know anything and if you forgot to study, well it's counterproductive.
yeah.
So,
I definitely think there are better ways to handle it.
right. Spread the word and don't be an idiot. And also never ever ever postpone something until the morning cuz you're going to do it when you wake up. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. I speak from experience.
I've done that so many times where I'm like, oh, I'm tired. I'll just do my homework in the morning. I wake up
Yeah,
in the
no.
morning and guess who's not doing their homework?
Yeah, me. No. Yeah, that ain't happening. Anybody who says that they're doing their homework is either a psychopath or just doesn't know that what they're doing.
That's
Like,
so true.
yeah, who actually does their homework in the morning? Weirdos, that's who.
That is true. Anyways, for the next one, and this is the last one for the bad, and this is sort of one that's, as we'll get to later when we're talking about the good, it's sort of one of those things where it's like don't procrastinate, but also kind of have to procrastinate. Where it's
Mm,
like don't procrastinate too much, but also taking a break now and then to I don't know listen to music, to play video games, to watch Netflix is a good way to relieve stress. However, ignoring responsibilities is only going to make it worse. Are you the
hmm
type to do stuff like that? I assume.
Yep.
Yep. No surprise there.
Yeah, like you know me pretty well. You know what's up.
Yes. Where there's probably times where you should be doing your homework, but instead you're playing your PS4.
Yeah.
But anyway, so let's go on to the good,
Mm,
and that is exercising for the first one. Now, of course, this is a good way to generally like improve your mood, but
hmm
I never really thought of doing stuff like this to sort of relieve stress. So, say if you're stressed over a test, taking a break to I don't know, go walk outside. If you're into sports or something, go do sports. I guess if that's an
Go
option.
do sports.
Well, I mean, like, if you don't if you don't have access to like what a basketball hoop or something, it's kind of hard to play basketball. And I feel like you can't really play soccer by yourself. You can't really play
Yeah.
football by yourself. I guess you could play golf, but is that really exercise?
Yeah. I don't know.
So I guess it's kind of hard to do sports by yourself. Well, I guess if that's an option for you, then you could always try and do that.
Yeah, I do that actually because I go on runs when I'm stressed,
hmm
and it honestly does help quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So user pro tips.
Yeah.
Next one is to listen to music. And I don't know about you, dude, but I would literally not have survived high school without music.
Yeah, me neither.
And I think
Music
that's
is just
where
like the motivator to get anything done.
It really is. And I think that's sort of how, I guess, how can I word it? That's sort of how I got into like a lot of the music that I
Mm,
do. And I'm kind of sad that I still have like a Spotify account, because even though I do listen to music time to time when I'm doing chores or like at work,
mm,
I listen to music a lot more in school. Like that was
mm.
essentially the only time that I did it.
Yeah, like I have a Spotify premium account just because like I go to work and it's just nice to have when I listen to like podcasts while I'm doing my transactions and things like that because I'm bored. But
Listen to our podcast.
no, but it's just nice. Like I don't think I would have survived. I mean, I guess I wouldn't have the insight of knowing what it's like to live without it, but I
Oh
don't.
yeah.
I think it would be pretty hard for me to get like it's hard for me to do the dishes without having.
Some form of music.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I can understand you. I'm pretty much the same way. So, moving on though, and this is something that I think pretty much most of us high schoolers fall victim to, and that is taking a nap. Now, it is good. However, and this is a pretty big however,
Hmm.
essentially if you're taking a nap over half an hour to or like over an hour, you're essentially just screwing over your sleep schedule. And like
Yep.
and like you said before we started this podcast, I don't think I've ever succeeded in taking a nap under an hour. It's like
My girlfriend
impossible.
has before.
I
My
think it's
girlfriend has an
impossible.
insane amount of willpower.
You have to have an insane amount of willpower to be able to take a nap that's under an
Yeah.
hour.
Like, but I'm like seriously, like my girlfriend is insane. I honestly think like sometimes with the amount of willpower that she has, I'm like, man, oh man, it's crazy.
Do you not have the same?
Mm, Um, mm, no, no, I don't.
But yeah, it's just that's one of those things that I guess I feel like we all sort of know, but we also just sort of do anyways, and that's take a nap when it's too long. So yeah. For the next one, and I'm going to sort of leave this to you, Curtis, because you have more experience, and that's sort of positive self talk.
Yep. Yeah, the positive self-talk of like talking to yourself in the mirror and be like talking yourself up. Like obviously you shouldn't get like a big ego from it, but I think a lot of people are just too like hard on themselves, I guess. And that's because like we see on TV all these people that are like larger than life men and women that look like Greek gods and we're just normal human beings. I can see why women when they see Kim Kardashian are sad, I guess, like that they don't look like that. But then again, I know a lot of women who did become like that, and then they're like, "Nah, nah, 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 I'm pretty now, so I'm gonna be mean." Nah, 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 nah.
Okay then.
Yeah, but I think there has to be a healthy limit, and if you're on definitely towards like the negative side and you talk yourself up a little more, I think it would be more, maybe you'd be a little bit more prone to thinking positive about yourself.
Uh,
Yeah, that's just my personal opinion. Maybe if you can't give yourself a compliment without having to check your own ego, you have a problem.
that makes sense. And I'm not really somebody to like, I don't really know, like, I guess, tell myself in the mirror, you can do it. I don't really know.
It's maybe even just thinking it. Like you don't have to visually like say it out
Yeah.
loud. You just sometimes like just think it and then just I don't know, like think positively to yourself, I
Yeah, I
guess
know
is
what you
the
mean.
thing.
Plus, I guess I'm also the sort of person where, I guess, what would be the word? I guess, I don't really know if achievement motivated would be the word, but like, I guess usually when I have a good routine that works, sort of output from the routine sort of acts as a motivation. So like if I
Hmm.
spend a whole week, writing up to my word count, or like I spend a whole week, consistently, I don't know, practicing Spanish, or I spend a whole week actually, consistently exercising, I just think the fact that I maintain that routine is enough to motivate me to continue, sort of, and I guess that sort of works. But the issue with that is that if I get out of that routine, like with stuff that's been happening recently with the coronavirus and everything, that's sort of forcing people to change,
Yeah.
and in return forcing me to change, and that sort of creates a little bit of a issue, I guess would be the word. So For the next one, this sort of relates to our first episode that we did, and that was like hobbies that you can do sort of during quarantine. And this
Mm,
sort of extends to, I mean, a whole bunch of those hobbies, and just sort of having hobbies in general can
mm-hmm.
relieve stress. And that's like hobbies like art or playing an instrument. I mean, you've played a whole bunch of instruments throughout your life, so how does that sort of affect you?
I mean, it was nice. Like it definitely gave me an outlet to, I don't know, kind of let out my frustration because I play like
Drums.
percussion. Yeah. So if I was like angry or something, I just beat it within an inch of its life, you know?
Ah, yes. If you're angry, just beat your drum set.
Yeah, works,
That's
man.
that's interesting. I mean, I was more like taking it under the lines of like playing the music relieves the stress, but if you
Well,
relieve
yeah.
stress from destroying your instruments,
It wasn't my instruments, it was the school's instruments. I would never be that aggressive with my instruments, but
I guess that makes sense. But yeah, like stuff like reading can also help. I guess to different extents with certain people, but whatever hobbies that people have really can help a lot. And
mm,
I mean, I'm not really one for like art or even playing an instrument because I feel like I don't really have enough time for that. Oddly enough, I guess I'm just doing too many other things.
mm-hmm,
But yeah. So then for our last thing, and this sort of depends on who you are.
mm-hmm,
And we were talking about this a tad bit before the podcast, and that's like people who are more organized or who have like a to-do list, where I've heard some people find having a to-do list stressful because they see all the stuff that they had to do in that day, so it's like, ugh, I don't want to start. But some people like having that mass amount of stuff to do because then they slowly clear it out and then they feel good about themselves when it's empty. So then how do you feel about
yeah,
that?
I think that spawns back to like when I was little and you would have those Lego games, you know, if you got like 100% completion, it made you like gave you like a Jedi Master trophy or something like that. If you play like Lego Star Wars, the complete edition got 100%.
uh
And now that like sense of completion is like one of the things that drives me to do it. Like I don't make lists often, but I like when I do, I guess is a good determinant of it, you know? Like I like when I have a list and I complete all my tasks for that day. I don't like starting the list. Starting is one of the hardest things ever, but
yeah,
finishing and doing it and seeing like all those tasks that you had to do just done, it's so nice.
I can understand that. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same way. I guess it's sort of how I am, where I like getting more organized because, like, especially in the summer, previously in school, it's just like if I just spend a whole day just playing Xbox, it's like, what have I really accomplished? I mean, sure, I might have gotten further in like whatever game I'm playing, but realistically, what
Yeah.
have I accomplished that is going to help me in
Yeah,
the
you're not
future?
playing the game of life pretty well, you know? No.
Right.
The game of life.
Oh my gosh. I am totally one where, I mean, I should have gone back and forth with how my system is. I know kind of previously I've had it be where I just schedule out sort of like my day hour by hour. And I think when I was in school or like during the summer as like a senior, during the summer as a junior, I think in those times you don't really have a lot of stuff to do. But
Mm,
especially now, I have like a lot of stuff that I sort of want to do, but sort of my day like often gets screwed around or sort of messed up. I
mm,
might get distracted or something. So I constantly change sort of how my system works.
mm. That makes
So
sense.
yeah, I was gonna say something, but I literally forgot what I was gonna say as you started talking. So I appreciate that.
You're welcome. Oh, that actually reminds me. My girlfriend like plans her day out to the hour. Like as I said, my girlfriend has an amazing amount of willpower. I've never seen it before in another human being ever on this planet. But
uh,
she like plans her day out to like the hour, and she actually like sticks to it. And I'm like, this is insanity.
Yeah, I pretty much do that. I mean, I guess for right now, with like everything going on, I've gotten worse about it. But I would say before all this started, like about a month ago, which would be sort of around February, like I was pretty consistent.
Mm. Like I don't really like that because I'm like afraid that it would be like maybe it just wouldn't maybe it would not allow me to have fun because I have to stick to a certain schedule and
Well,
things
I
like
can
that. Like
understand that. And I do think it's kind of strange because oftentimes I'll schedule out like free time. And of course, that feels sort of weird as an adult doing that because I guess kind of as a teenager, you're so used to just being able to do whatever you want. That scheduling out free time just seems kind of weird. But
Yeah.
oftentimes, it actually makes you feel sort of more productive in a way where you feel like if you use your time wisely, then you, I guess, deserve that free time.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, of course, it is kind of like again weird to schedule out free time, but like I said before, it's just I think having more organized time and being able to actually look and see what you have accomplished each day, I think is something that I like. I don't know how other people would feel about that, but I
Mm.
like being able to know that at least every day I accomplish something that has progressed somewhere in terms of like where I would like to be in 5 years.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What of that question of like where would you like to be in 5 years, and then people are say, well, I like to be doing this, and it's the question of okay, well, what are you doing today that you are actively sort of going towards that? And if you
Mm.
can't say anything, then not a good plan. All right, so then is that everything you have to say then?
I think so. Yeah.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Geek Strike Back. If you enjoyed, please be sure to leave a rating and subscribe so you are notified anytime a new episode is released. This show is a weekly podcast coming out every Friday. If you are interested in our social media, follow us at TGSB Podcast on Twitter. And I think that's about it. This has been the Geek Strike Back, and we'll see you all next week.